We all love shooters and we all love zombies. So today I decided to put together a list of the best 10 zombie shooting games of all time. The best ones that we've ever experienced that will always remain in our brains and in our hearts. So let's dive into the top 10 zombie shooters of all time. We're starting off the list here today with Left 4 Dead 2. Left 4 Dead 2 was kind of an origination point for many with this entire genre. No, it was not the first, but it was one that really stood the test of time, that many people engaged with, enjoyed, mostly because of the party system that you could do with friends. You would run with 3 other friends and you try to survive, get through the campaign of all of the zombies that were just invading. It was a dark game with a lot of different weapons that you could utilize that will really allow you to, be part and really engage within the experience. Whether you were using melee weapons or shotguns, rocket launchers, or whatever you might find, you were able to demolish the zombies. And this one was a ton of fun. It really got so many people addicted to the genre itself. Next on today's list was, or is, Killing Floor. This is actually my absolute favorite from today's list altogether. I played the heck out of this game on Steam and enjoyed every moment of it while I did. Inside of this game, you go through waves and you have to be sure to take down all the enemies that you may encounter during that wave. In between waves, you stop and you go get yourself hooked up with different weapons that you've accumulated money for along the way. Yeah, it's a ton of fun. It was super addicting and it was available on Steam. Tons of mods were available for this game as well, and the slow motion effects made the death and destruction just so satisfying. The zombies were plentiful, waves got more and more difficult as time went on, and again, the weapons were a lot of fun. Now, we didn't have as many weapons as we had in Left 4 Dead 2, but there were a bunch of different weapons that you could learn how to really perfect combat with, and just make sure that you knew how to get the headshots, to get the slow-mo, to get the satisfaction, to complete the rounds. Yeah, the game was great. It still is today. Next, we're moving on to the Resident Evil series, specifically Resident Evil 2. Very different style game here. Inside of this game, you were doing a lot of exploring, puzzles, and encountering zombies or the undead along the way. This game is very dark. Throughout the majority of the game, you're in very dark areas and you're trying to be very assassin-like and stealth, so that you don't actually, bother the zombies in the surrounding, and maybe you won't have to interact with them at all, which absolutely, it never happens. You're always engaging with these zombies. But this game is much darker, much creepier, and it's going to give you a lot more scares just because of how dark the surrounding is around you. Everyone knows Resident Evil. It's probably the most popular so far on the list here today, but it's also a much slower game from both of the ones that we experienced and shared with you prior to this one on today's list. Doesn't mean it's not good, it just means it's a different experience. This one filled with much more story and much more lore. Yeah, Dead Island. Dead Island Riptide was a lot of fun. I actually really did like this. This is when zombie games became more and more popular. At this point in time, there were a lot of different style zombie games coming out, and in this one, you need to survive the zombie invasion of the island. This game really featured the kill and loot, or the melee and loot style gameplay, I should say. I say this rather than shoot and loot because inside of the game, there's a lot of melee style weapons. You'll be using more of those within the game than you will the shooter style weapons inside of Dead Island. But here, you're on a beautiful tropical island. I mean, what could go wrong? But just about everything can. Lots of fast combat here. These zombies, they are not slow, and you're going to be able to get through the campaign, go through the missions, and try and make your way to survive and not die and complete the story and experience all the blood, death, and weapons along the way. You really can't go wrong with the Dead Island game. They have all been pretty good. And this one specifically was one that stood out in my mind. I really did like it. Plus, by the way, Dead Island 1 had the best trailer ever of all time. So far, what do you think I've forgotten from the list? If there's a game that you remember, zombie shooter, let me know in the comments below. I want to go check it out. Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies. I don't know if this is what helped made Black Ops really become so popular, but it was definitely fun. It was dark. You see the eyes glowing of the zombies that try to take down well, the house that you're hiding in. This was such a great PvE game mode that you really could team up together with friends and enjoy. You upgrade your weapons along the way. You have the mystery system to get different weapons as well. And, well, the teamwork element here was some of the best in zombie shooters. I mentioned it before in the Left 4 Dead video, but this was a whole different story. There was no story or lore behind this. It was literally just survive. Live as long as you could. And this turned non-gamers into fans of being gamers. This turned moms into being zombie shooter fans. This game mode right here inside of Call of Duty really helped popularize the whole zombie shooter genre overall, which helped many gamers and many game developers create a bunch of games and enjoy a bunch of games in the future and in the incoming future as well. Next on the list is State of Decay. Inside of this game, it was a very much looter style zombie game. You drop into a world infested with zombies and you need to survive, but you have nothing. You run around with a backpack, you hop in cars, you run over zombies, and you find stuff to help you survive. You need to get weapons, you need to get food, you need to get gear, and you need to make sure that you are going to be sustainable to survive the night, because in the night is when things get very bad in State of Decay. This one is a less action, more strategy, although there is a bunch of action inside of this as well, style game. The graphics, in my opinion, were never like crazy good, but people really did love this game. It really had a bit of a cult following, for lack of a better word, and it was really a nice survival style. The first survival style game that we've seen, although in all of the games you're actually surviving the zombies, you're not actually trying to build homes, create weapons, etc. You get what I'm saying. This is a great one if that's the type of game you're looking for. The Walking Dead, a Telltale series. All right, maybe you don't want to actually have the action mechanics inside of the game, and instead you'd rather just have a story that you follow along with and do actions to actually engage in the combat. This was a really good, slower style game that opened things up for Telltale. Inside of the game, you find yourself encountering tons of zombies, needing to take them down, and really following the story that you choose. It's like one of those novels where you choose how the story goes as you go through the novel. It's fun. It's a little bit more relaxing, and it's gonna keep you on the edge of your seat though, like you're watching a really good TV show. All right, so we talked about in an open world, dropping in with nothing. Well, DayZ kind of completely revolutionized how this genre works. With the completely open source system where everything that you did was really in your own hands, your experience was yours, creativity was massive here, but the survival element of the game was huge as well. Again, you're not gonna have the hordes coming at you like we've experienced from some of the other games, but this is more of a real life, if zombie things are actually real life. This is what it would feel like if you were having a real life zombie style experience in your life. All right, so we couldn't have the list here today without Plants vs. Zombies. Hands down, one of the best zombie games ever. On mobile, on PC, childish, maybe, tower defense, 100%. Great game? Yes. I've played and beaten this game multiple times over. My children have played and beaten this game time and time again. It's absolutely amazing. So much fun, and something that people of all ages can enjoy, and it's a timeless style game. I still prefer Plants vs. Zombie 1 to any other Plants vs. Zombie game. Making one more note here, in my opinion, this game is best on mobile. The touchscreen capabilities allow you to really engage in battles even better, and it's how I would really prefer to consume this one. Next up, we have The Last of Us. Now, this is a very stealth style game, and it's not really a zombie game because we all know, and spoiler coming in here, these are not actually zombies. You could look more into the story itself. There's a show on Netflix for this one, and you could obviously play the games and learn the whole story. But this is something very different. The battle mechanics are awesome. Stealth abilities here are great as well, but it's really about the storyline, the lore, and your engagement in a world where everything is out to kill you. And it is brutal at that. You're gonna need to work with Ellie to make sure that everything works out in your favor so that you can survive. Battle is fun, but being stealth is super clutch and super key. I would go as far as saying this is a top 10 game of all time in the genre, or in the, you know, the story-ridden style game, you can't go wrong playing it. It's absolutely incredible. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, it's about time that you do, because I'll be back here tomorrow with another video, and I'll see you there.